Good morning, students. Today we are going to start with the third video of employment. Today we are going to cover the matter in the NCERT regarding this chapter. First of all, we need to know, why do people work? People work for earning a living. That means that when people work, they get wages and they fulfill the needs of their family and themselves. So that is why we call it earning a living. Work gives them a sense of self-worth. All those people who are working consider that they are worthy something. At least the amount of payment that they are getting helps them to prove their sense of worth. Contribution to national income and development of a country. Through employment, a person contributes to the development of a country in the sense that what a person earns contributes to the national income of the country. To meet the requirements of those who are dependent on us, this point we have already covered. Why is it important to study employment? Study about employment. When we study about employment, we know the quality and nature of employment in our country. It helps us in understanding and planning our human resources. It helps us to analyze the contribution made by different industries and sectors towards national income. It also helps us to address many social issues such as exploitation of poor, child labor, etc. The nature of employment in India. Some get employment throughout the year, others only few months a year. Many workers do not get fair wages for their work. We have already discussed that the workers who are working in the unorganized sector do not get fixed wages or such amenities or facilities as the workers of the organized sector. While estimating the number of workers, all those who are engaged in economic activities are included as employed. This is covered in the definition of employment itself. During 2011-12, India had a workforce of 473 million people. The rural workers constitute about 3/4 of this 473 million workforce. In rural India, the farmers constitute a very big number of the workforce, and that is why the rural workers form about 3/4 of this 473 million workforce. Men form the majority of workforce in India. About 70% men are working and the rest 30% who are working are women. This goes to prove that there is a gender bias in employment in our country, especially when we see that there is a lot of employment of men in the organized sector or the formal sector, and the percentage of women in this sector is very low. Women workers account for 1/3 of the rural workforce and 1/5 of the urban workforce. So, this point tells us that women are more participatory in the workforce in the rural areas, whereas less women participate in the workforce in the urban areas. This is because unskilled labor is required in the rural areas, whereas in the urban areas skilled labor is required, where education might be a criteria, and women mostly lack education in India even today. Out of 473 million workforce, 7% workers are employed in the formal sector and 93% in the informal sector. This part we have already covered, that it is not a very proud fact about India that not many workers, only as few as 7% workers are employed in the formal sector, 93% people are engaged in the informal sector. If we address this question, why women are not categorized as workers, then we will realize that women carry out work like cooking, bringing water, fuel wood, and participate in farm labor because they do not receive any payment in exchange of their work in the form of cash. That is why they are not included in the category of workers. Worker population ratio. The total number of workers in India divided by the population in India and multiplied by 100 is known as worker population ratio. It's Worker population ratio refers to total number of workers upon total population into 100. It is also known as employment population ratio. It is an indicator used for analyzing the employment situation in the country. If the ratio is higher, it means that the contribution of people is greater, and if the ratio is medium or low, it means that very high proportion of its population is not involved directly in economic activities. This goes to speak a lot about how many people are dependent population and how many people are working population. And from this we can judge about the nature of development of the country. According to this table, 38.6% people in India are workers, which means that our working population is almost 40%, and the rest 60% is dependent on their earnings. Amongst these, men are 54.4% and women are 21.6%. This, in rural areas we see again that the percentage of men that are working is more than the women. It is 24.8% in case of women and 54.3% in case of men, almost double. In urban areas also, men form a big percentage of the working population, but the women are lesser in percentage as compared to those in the rural areas. This is so because in rural areas unskilled labor is required and women can render that kind of unskilled labor, whereas in urban areas the job require a specific skill or a set of education where women are lacking in India even today. Now we need to know what the government has done so far for the improvement of the employment situation in our country. Since independence, the union and state government have played an important role in generating employment or creating opportunities for employment generation. Their efforts can be broadly categorized into direct efforts and indirect efforts. In the direct efforts, the government employs people in various departments for administrative purposes. All those people who are in government jobs are in this category. It also runs industries, hotels, and transport companies and hence provides employment directly to workers. The workers who work in those are also getting directly employed. Many poverty alleviating programs of the government aim at employment generation. Along with the first two, the government has made efforts by launching certain employment generation programs also in order to alleviate the condition of poverty and generate employment for the people. Amongst these, the long-term measures are increase in growth rate of employment through increase in industrial and agricultural production. Now, when there will be more production, definitely more labor will be required and more employment opportunities will be generated. Promotion of agriculture allied activities. Earlier, people were only employed in agriculture as such. Now, allied activities of agriculture such as poultry, fisheries, etc., are being developed and more people are getting jobs. Increase in investment in rural development. When more money is invested in rural development, whether in the construction of roads, houses, or small scale industries, more employment opportunities are available to the people in the rural areas. Reform in education system, vocational education. In the chapter Human Capital Formation, we had studied that our education system suffers from certain drawbacks or flaws, and lack of training and vocational education was one of them. Government has steadily worked towards vocationalization of education system so that people are imparted certain skills that make employability easier for them. Check on population growth. This is a very important factor. The government has actively participated in all those programs that create the awareness for checking the growth of population, explaining the effect of population growth on the development of a country. Growth of infrastructure. The more facilities available to the people, the more are the employment opportunities available to them. Skill development. This is a rather new concept which has been started. In this skill development program, the two programs that are worthy of a mention are Pradhan Mantri Kaushal Vikas Yojana and Deen Dayal Upadhyay Gramin Kaushal Yojana. Among the indirect efforts, private enterprises which receive raw material from government enterprises will also raise their output and hence increase the number of employment opportunities in the economy. This point can be further explained with the help of an example. When a government owned steel company increases its output, it will result in direct increase in employment in that government company. Simultaneously, private companies which purchase steel from it will also increase their output and thus employment. Not only steel production in government enterprises increases employment opportunities in that enterprise, but also in the private enterprises that purchase the steel produced by the government companies. The Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act 2005, commonly known as Manrega Act, it promises 100 days of guarantee wage employment to all rural households which volunteer to do unskilled manual work. This scheme is one of the many measures that the government has implemented to generate employment for those who are in need of jobs in rural areas. Now we need to discuss the causes of unemployment and what is the consequence of unemployment in our country. First, let us discuss the causes. High rate of population growth. This is a very clear-cut cause of unemployment in our country because it is not that jobs are not being generated, but the population growth rate is so high that whatever jobs are generated fall short of the required number of jobs. Low employment creation capacity, because our country is still a developing country, so as many jobs as are required are not being created in our country. Illiteracy. Because of illiteracy, many people do not get jobs in our country because there are certain jobs which require an educational qualification which is not available in case of certain people. Lack of vocational education. This point we have already covered, that education system is faulty. It is not training the students in the skills to acquire jobs. Defective education system. Vocationalization of education was one defect of the education system, and the second effect of education system is that even though people are acquiring education, but education is not enabling them to get jobs. Jobless growth. In India, we are seeing a widening of gap between GDP growth rate and employment growth rate. This gap between GDP growth rate and employment growth rate is known as jobless growth. So, this factor is also visible. Decline in small scale and cottage industries. Small scale and cottage industries provide employment to a big section of rural population. After their decline in the British period, the government has tried to reinstate them, but a lot of effort needs to be put in even now. Lack of skill development. Government is definitely working on in this regard. We have already mentioned this point earlier. Inadequate growth of infrastructure. Infrastructure growth is also not as much that would be supportive in generation of employment, and because of lack of infrastructure growth, the multinational companies, the number of multinational companies that should have come to our country to invest is less because of the lack of infrastructure growth. Because if they would have come to our country and invested in our country, more companies would have come, then more employment opportunities would have been generated. Consequences. What is the effect of unemployment on our economy? Wastage of human resource. India being such a populous country, having such a large population, when they do not get work to do, when they are unemployed, it is a wastage of human resource. Increase in poverty. Increase in poverty is a direct result of unemployment, because when people do not have work to do, they get poor. Increase in crime rate. When people are jobless, their wants are not diminished, they still have a lot of wants that they need to fulfill. So, what do they resort to? They resort to crime. Unemployment results in increase in crime rate. Brain drain. Though this point we have taken up in the end, but it is a very relevant and important point. All those people who do not get job in our country go to other countries in search of jobs and better salaries. So this concept is known as brain drain, which is a very big problem, wastage of our human resource and brain power.